Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to learn how to replace the air bleeder hose on a Chevrolet Cobalt. Now the vehicle we're specifically working with today is a 2007 Chevrolet Cobalt LS with a 2.2 liter engine. Now this procedure works fine with the 2.2 liters and the 2.4 liters, but depending on your engine, like the 2.0 liter or even the trim, like the SS's or the other, like the LTs, there you go, or the LTZs, this procedure may work differently for y'all because this hose goes from the engine in between the fuse boxes, underneath the air hose or air box, and then, you know, to the surge tank, which the engine layout for the 2.0s and the 2.2s, 2.4s, they're all different. So be sure, if you do have the 2.0 liters, make sure you do your due diligence, make sure it's the right part number, and make sure that it's the correct procedure. I don't want to get you all mixed up. I want to save your butts there. So other than that, I'm going to provide pages from the service manual, tools that you'll need, and clear step-by-step instructions. So without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so a quick little note about this air bleeder hose that goes from the engine to the surge tank. There should not be any coolant in here, so whenever you do this procedure, you should be fine just going in, undoing the clamps without having to, you know, worry about any kind of leakage or anything like that. But just be sure the engine is cooled down. While it's hot, the engine has pressure. If you undo it, it could blow up in your face. And I don't want you getting third-degree burns and sent to the hospital. That's not on me. That's why I give this discretion. I ain't getting sued. So be sure that your engine's cooled down, and there shouldn't be any coolant in there, but if there is, just make sure there's a little rag in place. So that's all I'm going to say for this part. Let's get back to the video. Alright, so where is the return hose or the air bleed hose? Well, if we look in the engine bay, obviously it's going to be connected to your reservoir. So following the reservoir, we're going to follow it all the way down under the air box, and then right on the top left or bottom left of your engine, it's connected right there. So starting here, ending there. So now that we've located it, let's figure out how to remove it. Now when it comes to removing the hose, there's two different ways to do it. The first way is less practical. The second way is more practical. The first way is to, you know, remove your connections and then just slide it underneath the air box. And then when you reinstall it, slide it back through and then tighten your connections. The second way, which is more practical, is to undo the air box, which it's just a single little hose clamp, as you can see. That's all it takes to remove it. And so you take it up, undo the connections, remove the hose, install the hose, and then put the air box back on. We're going to be doing it the second way this time. I think that would be the more appropriate way to remove this. So now that we know the game plan, let's see it in action. Now I'd like to make a quick statement before we start removing things. These worm drive clamps, these are not stock. This hose, this is not stock. These are both aftermarket. If you still have the original OEM hose, you will have spring clamps. Just use a plier on those. So anytime I'm using a worm drive to take, or a flathead to take off a worm drive, just use a plier and take off your hose. I can't do that. I have to use a flathead. So now that that's out of the way, let's continue. Now when it comes to removing this connection, first and foremost, make sure your engine has cooled down, specifically your surge tank. If your engine is hot, your radiator system or your coolant system will be under pressure. If you undo this, more than likely it will explode. And I don't want you doing this procedure and you obtain third-degree burns because I didn't warn you. So this is my warning. Don't kill yourself. So to undo this clasp, it's just a worm drive. I think it's like a 6.5 millimeter or a flathead. I don't have a 6.5, so we're just... That's what I'm talking about. Right there. So you hear that? So that means this engine was still a little warm. And the procedure for that is you slowly bleed out the pressure. If it's hot, don't touch it. If it's warm, slowly bleed it out. Which, this one is good. So now that the worm drive is loosened, so now that it's loosened, we can take this hose and we can just pull it out. Just like so. Man, it's a long nipple. Alright, just like so. This is free. Now we can move on to the other side. Next, before we start on the other connection, we need to undo the air box, which its hose clamp is right here on the right side. So more towards the driver's side. Just loosen that up just enough. That should be a good. And then from there, you should be able to take this air box and just pop it up like so. Next, we'll need to undo this clasp right here. That way the air box can be completely freed. To undo this, once again, it's another worm drive with another flat head. Just loosen her up. And then pull. Just like so. And that should be all that's connected. Oh, you know what? We got one more thing, which is the PVC hose. Next, we'll undo this clamp. You can honestly do either one, but I prefer doing this one here. So grab your pliers, grab that, and just pull it off the air box like so. Now, before we remove the air box, there is a little bolt right here. I don't know what bolt that is supposed to be. I assume it'd be like a 10 or a 12 millimeter, but don't forget that sneaky guy right there. Once all those have been disconnected, just take your air box and set that to the side. Now with the air box out of the way, we have a good view of the rest of our hose. And now we can disconnect this guy down here. Alright, now to disconnect this guy, remember, get your rag ready. More than likely a little bit will come up because you do have your main reservoir hose, or your main radiator hose, the outlet or inlet for the engine, outlet for the radiator that comes in here. So more than likely you're going to get a little bit of... So go ahead and get our rag ready as best as we can. Not really any way to really prepare for this. If it does decide to squirt, maybe I can put it down here. There we go. Alright, so I'll put that right there. Then yeah, I know I'm missing my loom. I gotta fix that. So get your flat head once again. Go ahead and start loosening it. And if it is gonna squirt, this is about the time that you'd start seeing it whenever you loosen this up. Yep, had a little drip there, pretty sure. Once it's loose, go ahead and slowly start pulling up. And like I said, not a, well, maybe one drop, but not in the hose. And now that that's off, if there's anything else holding this hose on, like a zip tie, be sure to snip that. And now we can move on to installing it. Alright, so let's look at the two hoses and compare. Like I said earlier, I had an aftermarket hose, which is just honestly just a 3/8 piece of rubber. So here is our new one. It's got a metal bar here. This is to protect against the heat of the engine, as well as damage from abrasives. And then also, it comes with spring clamps. Whoopee! That'll be easier. And then obviously our old worn out one that didn't hold up worth a darn. So now that that comparison is done, let's install the new one. Now when it comes to installing the engine side, and it's marked engine as so on the hose, you're going to slide it underneath the PVC check, and you're going to slide it right on, and then you'll put the clip down. Now you would say, hey, shouldn't this be out of the way before you put it on? Well, I'm showing you, I'm doing it this way because I have a problem and I want to show you all it. So as you can see, it slides right on with no problem, and it comes off with no problem at all. That's an issue, and that's a malfunction on the manufacturer's part. So I'm kind of upset there. So what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to take this off, and I'm going to have to use good old worm drive to tighten it down, which is fan-freaking-tastic. So if you happen to run into that problem, you may have to grab a worm drive, which I can't stand worm drives because these little slits here eat into the hose. Especially if you happen to buy like silicone hoses, these eat into them and they tear them up, man. I know from experience. I have a Saturn Sky and replaced the coolant hoses, and they came with worm drive and it just tore them to pieces. Now if you do use a worm drive, just get it nice and tight. See, that wasn't enough, so it means I need to go a little farther, because like I said, don't go all the way in to where it just starts chewing them up. That's still not tight enough. Well, no, that should be good. Push it down a little more. Okay, let me loosen it up a little bit so I can get it all the way down to the base once again. And then I'll re-tighten it, but that was good. There we go. There, and then one more, just like so. That's good there. Now we can move on to the other side. Now for this one, same thing before. Take your hose, slide it on until it's all the way down to the base, just like so. Then I'm going to take my hose clamp, bring it all the way down, feel where that bulges, put it right up behind it. Give it a nice little tug, make sure it's not going to slide. That's a good clamp. I like that one. So now that that's good, we can route our hose throughout the engine, and then we can put our airbox on. Alright, so now we got to make sure this thing's properly routed. First and foremost, got to go in between your fuse box and the cover for your ECM, which I like that. You don't see a cover over your ECM too often. But yeah, make sure that's nice and tight under there. So to come down here, you're going to have this little swoop part right here. And you see how it's kind of dangling at an angle compared to your fuel rail? You want that straight. So we're going to take this piece and we're going to set him on top of that. And make sure that it's twisted the correct way as well. Some of them aren't twisted right whenever you first put them on, which this side helps kind of keep it straight. But you want to make sure that it's all lined up. This comes down, and then it comes up, and then it comes over into your reservoir. So just like that, that is completely routed, and this has an abrasive protection for that purpose right here. So now that that's set up, we can put on our airbox. First, we're going to take our airbox, we're going to toss it in the engine, just like so. And just like that, you're done. Not really, I wish it was like that. So first off, we're going to connect our PVC check. Grab your pliers. I'm going to line up the tubing here. Let me open these up a little bit more. There we go. Yeah. Alright, open those up. You're going to slide your PVC in. So it's all the way down to the base. Let go of your pliers because it should already be in the same spot, which mine's a little off, so let me fix mine. It's not even on the... Well, it is, but let me move it over real quick because I don't like that. Alright, just like so. Try to tear it off, and it's not coming off, so that's good. Now we can connect the other part. Next, we're going to connect the airbox to your air filter. Take your hose, slide it on. Doesn't really need to be adjusted any. And then you'll tighten up this here. Get it snug just like so. And that's done. Now we can move on to the manifold hose. So next, we're going to push the airbox down onto the throttle body. Now one thing you want to make sure you do first, look up here where your bolt would be, and as you can see, we have our new coolant hose. It's on top of this. This is not how it needs to be. This needs to go underneath. That way whenever you push this down, there you go, you can readjust this and set it on top of this little part here, which is where the abrasion is. So just like so, that's set there. Now we can tighten that worm drive. And just get this snug. All right, just like so, that's done. Now we can attach this bolt up here, but unfortunately I don't have this bolt, so once again, it's maybe a 10 or a 12 millimeter. I ain't got it, but if y'all do, just get it snug. All right, just like that, you have completed this procedure. Of course, you got to tighten that bolt, but I didn't have it. Now, here's usually where I'd get a little nitpicky, and you can adjust this hose if you wanted to. As you can see, it's kind of coming out. Sticking out a little bit right here is because it's kind of twisted more this way, so I'll probably twist it back, but it doesn't have to be like that. It's good like that, but you know, I'm a little OCD. So, but other than that, you've completed this procedure. Good job. All right, thank you so much for checking out the video. I hope that it helped you out and that you learned something new. If you happen to need any other procedures done for the Chevrolet Cobalts, like window wipers, hood struts, air filters, oil change. I don't have the oil change yet, actually. Be sure to check out my website, caswellskappa.wixsite.com, caswell-kappa, and I got other procedures on there for you. Now, this is mainly like a Kappa platform website, but I do other stuff too. That's why I got all these other stuff, like this video and other procedures. So be sure to check that out. And that's all I got for y'all today, and I will see y'all next time. Until then.